Hello, this is Joey Keller and you're watching Joey's Marketing Automation Show. Have you ever wondered how merging works in Mautic? What happens if you have one key? What happens if you have two keys, multiple keys in an and or relationship? Or how can you merge contacts using the merge functionality in the contacts profile? I'm gonna go deep into this today. I hope you will enjoy. Let's watch it. Merging is a super interesting topic because if you do marketing automation, probably it's happening all the time that you're merging contacts in your database. You're adding new information, so you're enriching those contacts. So it's all the time a need for finding old contacts and adding new information to them. And today I would like to look at this, how it's working in Mautic, how the merging happens. I have here a couple of scenarios and I really tested them out. So I would like to show you what I found, and I kind of came up with generic rules of merging inside of Mautic. So let's do first a very simple case when your email is the key. So as you know, in Mautic you can set different keys for your contacts, and the simplest version is when you have just one key, and that's the email. So let's look at our case here. So let's say this here is my import file. So I have two columns in my import file. I have simple names here and emails here and first names. And when I import them first time into the system, then this is going to be my end result in the database. So all the emails are created, all the first names are assigned to these people, and my contacts will have a contact ID. If I do another import, so let's say this is now another import. I have the last names here, same email addresses. I would add these last names to the already created contacts. Then my result would be that the people with the matching keys, so email in this case, would have the new last names added. So if I look at before, you see the contact ID is not changing, so we have a simple merge here. This is the most simplest case you can have. So we can say that contacts with the same key will be overwritten during import, unless you choose not to overwrite some fields like old fields. But the idea is that contacts with the same key, in this case email, will be overwritten. So these people didn't have a last name before, and now they have. Okay, let's do a little bit more complicated. Let's check out what happens if you set in your Mautic that you have two keys. So you create a new custom field called UID, unique identifier, for example, and you set that this should be a key. It should be a unique field. In that case, things are a little bit changing, and it was never like I couldn't find a very good documentation on how the merging happens if this is the case. If you have two UIDs, for example, you have a customer ID and you have an email. So what really happens there? So I really tested it out, and I would like to present this to you now. So let's assume we have the same people here, Parker at domain, Stark at domain, and Romanova. They have a UID as well, and they have a first name in the system. So when we first import these here, import this file, then in our system, we're going to have the corresponding information, and a contact ID will be assigned to them. Okay, let's go further. I make the second import now. Like I said before, I have here just the first name, and now I am adding the last name as well. So in Mautic, there are two ways to set the merging criteria. Let me show you where it's done. I came here now in my Mautic contact settings, and you can have the merge settings as or and. These are the two ways. If you have or, then one of the keys are required to be able to merge a contact. If it's and, then both keys are required. And I'm gonna show you in practice in a moment what that actually means. Okay, so back in our table, so we're supposed to have UID as a secondary key. And if you see the merging here, it doesn't matter if you have this setting as and, like merge and merge or, it doesn't really matter. The new last name will be added here to the right place in the column. So Mautic will find the contacts based on the email address. So let's see another type of import. We're going back to the first case, so we don't have the last name yet. We're importing without the email address. So we're just basing our import on the UID. And again, this is happening also if your merge logic is AND. So you don't have to have both. Even if your merge logic is AND, you don't have to have both in order to update the right contact. You just have to have one of the IDs, unique IDs. If you have both, great, but if you just have one of them, then it's still updating perfectly. So to sum up, in both cases, if the merge logic is or AND, the contacts with the matching key will be overwritten. Also then, if just one key is present. So if you, based on the email or based on the UID importing, the matching will be perfect. Cool. So let's do a little bit of mix-up now. Okay. So let's say this is in our database. Now we have already the first name, last name added. So this is before. This is our system right now. We have the UIDs. And we have the AND variable in our Mautic for the contact matching logic. That means we need both in order to match someone. One of them is not enough. Well, one of them is enough if there is a clear case, but in case you're doing some mess, you need both. So, for example, here, I did a mistake here, or it's intentional, it doesn't matter. I just want to show you what really happens. So if you have here, I have here Peter Parker, parker@domain.com, but I gave him the wrong UID by the import, and I'm changing the first name. If you have a AND variable for your matching logic, what will happen is that Mautic is saying, sorry, I can't find a person with this domain and UID at the same time, because this UID belongs to another contact and this domain belongs to another one. So better I just create a new person, and that will be a new person with a new contact ID. So this is very important. If you are doing AND logic for contact merging by using multiple keys, then it's super important that you are consistent, because inconsistency will lead to creating a new contact. So our new rule is, if the merge logic is AND, only contacts with both keys matching will be merged. Otherwise, a new contact is created. Okay, let's go further. So let's look at the OR variant here. What happens if it's either or? So you need just one of those keys in your setting. You said any of them are fine for identifying contacts. And here are our starting point. I have Peter Parker UID 1003, but I would like to import him as 1002. I also would like to update his name to not Peter, so we can track what really happened. If I do this, then Mautic will look at the system and see that I have here UID 1002, so probably what my boss trying to do, the importing person trying to do, is to change the email address. So automatically we'll update the email and everything else which needs to be updated based on the secondary ID. You can test it out. This is what's going to happen. Okay, so what happens if I just add the new email now? Because obviously, if I would have just one information, that would work. We tested that before. But let's say I made this mistake already. I have Peter Parker twice here. So as you can see, I have him twice here. Once with the right and once with the wrong, or I can say once with the new UID. So I have twice him in the system. Although still email is a unique identifier, and Mautic still let me do this. Because it said, okay, sorry, I have to change the UID. Based on the UID, I have to change this email address. So let's say I want to import someone now, and I don't say the UID. I want to import someone with parker@domain.com with the new Peter first name, and you see where it goes. it will go to the second one. It will go to the one with the highest contact ID automatically. Not actually the one which was last time changed, like the most fresh record, but it's gonna go to the one with the highest UID and change, actually merge everything what I import here. Let's make a test. So what I did here is I just to make sure that the priority of merging doesn't depend on how fresh a contact is, but depends on the UID actually. So what I did, I went back, so undid this and went back and said, okay, I'm going to change the name of the Peter Parker, which has the lowest ID. So this is the most fresh contact now in my system. I changed his name to Parker Old. And then I imported based on the email address. So if Mautic would look at always the freshest contact, then this here with the 4845, so this here should have been changed with this first name. But that didn't happen. So Mautic again looked at the email address and checked out, okay, which email can I change? Which email should I change? Which email's contact should I change? And found the one with the highest ID and merged my import to that contact. Okay, so let's do one more test. I went into the system to the very beginning of this test, and I changed the third one as well. So from now on, Natalia Romanov will have the highest ID. I imported again, and that confirmed my theory that the contact with the highest ID will be merged if we have multiple emails in the system and the by key version. Okay, so this is actually clarifying up a lot and also warning to you how you should, deal with your imports. To sum up, if the merge logic is an OR and we have conflicting keys, then the contacts are matched based on the key other than the email. So this allows us to tell Mautic that change the email address of this and this contact with this ID, unique ID. And this allows changing email addresses of the contacts. So that's actually pretty cool. And always the one with the highest ID will be regarded. Okay, so let's see another case. Manual merge. I'm sure you've seen manual merge. Let me show you how it looks like. Manual merge looks like this. You have a contact here, and then you click on merge, and then you punch in something like Joseph in this case, and then you can merge this person with this. So this is how Mautic contacts can be manually merged. If you accidentally created two, or someone has two email addresses, twice in the system, then this is how you can merge them together. Okay, so how does that work? Let me show you. Okay, so let's see this example here. This is now a clean system. We don't have any contacts. Then I'm importing a new contact, starkold@domain.com with old Tony. This is going to be the name. I just need to keep track on who is new contact, who is an old contact. So that's why I call him old Tony. I don't think he's old. I think he's cool. So let's go further. When I do this import, then a new contact will be created with this domain, with this email address, first name, and an ID. Everything is clear. You just imported a new contact. So this is our starting point now. I have here Stark Old. Yeah, this is the contact who we just imported. I'm gonna make a new import now. I'm gonna import start new. So in that moment, this one will have a last name too. In this moment, I will have two contacts already, start old and start new, with different IDs. So nothing special happened. I just imported the new contact. Now I have two. Let's go further. So I have these two contacts and I would like to do a merge, and I'm doing it by opening Stark Old all Tony, and from the selection, manually selecting the second one. So like you said, I filtered for Joseph in the previous example. I filter for the second contact here, and I click on merge. So what's going to happen is that it will take the information from the new Tony Stark and merge it with the old one in a way that the first person's contact, in terms of contact ID, this contact is kept. And that happened because I clicked here on the first person. So always that person is kept who you click and who you choose to merge with. So not the one in the drop down, but the one who you click. That's ID. So I did it the other way too. I made a test. What happened if I chose the second one? Then still, as you can see here in the bottom, nothing really changes. The only thing is changing which ID is kept. And always that ID is kept, which you choose first and went into the profile and then chose the merging action. Okay, let's make another test. So I made another import here. Again, I imported old Tony. It has an ID 4843. Then what I did, I made another import again with another second contact to make sure that I have two contacts again. This is very important for my next test. So what I did here is I changed the name. I changed the first name of old Tony, chose him again as the person I want to merge someone with, and chose the second contact to merge with. So I actually repeated the first case here, which I did, which was this one. And as you can see, the domain, the ID was the same as here, so the person I chose, but at the end I had Stark new and new Tony Stark, and I had the new contacts information. But after doing this test, I have the old contacts information. The reason is because I changed something in the old contact after I imported my second contact. So again, the timeline. I imported the first contact, old Tony. I imported new Tony. I changed something in old Tony, made the import, and suddenly old Tony's contact was kept. That's another thing that, of course, the ID is this one, and that's this one because, you know, I opened him first to be merged, to merge with someone. But the reason why his contact was kept is because Mautic will always look at the last modified contact, and that's going to have a priority over the other one. It doesn't matter that the other person has a higher ID. So it's not the same as you would import, as you would do it when you are using multiple keys. In this logic, always the one which was last modified has priority, so it's going to keep all the information here. So I did another test one more time. I opened this one here as second one to choose that, you know, I want to merge this person with someone. And the only thing was changed is here, the ID. Like, that's verifying my previous test that anyone who is chosen, like any contact who I choose first, will keep the ID and the other one will be merged. But the merging priority is always determined by the freshness of the contact in this case. So I made a summary for you here. So there is a contact who you open to merge with another one, and there is a contact who you choose the second step in the drop down. The ID of the person will be kept who you first chose with, and the second ID vanishes. Then we take all the data from the newer contact, the contact who was last modified, and if there is any data in the old one, so the contact which is not as fresh as the other one, if there's any data there which could be used because it's not in here, then that will be also added. So it might be a little bit complicated, but I hope it cleared up for you some questions about merging contacts with Mautic. I hope this was useful for you. If it was, then please subscribe to this channel. And anyway, come to my website, joeykeller.com. I'm sharing tips how to send emails faster or slower, or reduce your database size, everyday maintenance, or special tricks using Mautic, like this one, what you just watched today. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed it, and I will see you in 2 weeks.